Here's part 3 to how I would fix the Chargers to make them legit Super Bowl contenders in year 2 of Jim Harbaugh, and today we're going to be talking about the edge rusher position. This was a very highly requested position that you guys wanted me to do, so here is how I would address it with trades, free agency, and the draft for the Chargers to bolster this position. Now, obviously, we saw yesterday that Myles Garrett requested a trade out of Cleveland, and I do expect the Chargers to be interested for the right price. I don't think they want to give up their first-round pick because I think that the Chargers want to go with a playmaker in the first round. I could be wrong, but that's just my hunch, is that they're going to want a tight end or a wide receiver in the first round because that is our biggest position of need, in my opinion. So I don't know if we'll be in on the Myles Garrett sweepstakes, but I would definitely want to see the Chargers be interested. So if that doesn't happen, what I would do is re-sign Khalil Mack on a 1-year deal if he wants to be back, if he decides not to retire, which I think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to want to be back, whether that's the Chargers or a different team. I think he'll be back for 1 year at least, but I would re-sign him on a 1-year deal. And unfortunately, I would either restructure Joey Bosa's contract so that he's either back for one more season with the Chargers or just let him walk this year. And I don't know if a lot of Chargers fans would agree with me on that, but I just feel like the injuries and the kind of lack of production that we've seen from Joey Bosa, I think we can get more production from other players in free agency or drafting a young first or second round talent, maybe even third round. So some free agents that I'm looking into for the Chargers on the defensive line would be Josh Sweat from Philadelphia. He's 27, so he's still pretty young. He could potentially sign a long-term contract with the Chargers because he's only 27, so looking at like 3 to 5 years, and that would be a complete upgrade on that edge position if we were to let Joey Bosa walk. Now, another guy that I would think the Chargers could be interested in is Chase Young. He has kind of bounced around teams ever since he's been drafted with Washington, but he's a young, talented edge rusher that I think could really benefit from being in a scheme like Jesse Minter's. Plus, he has the familiarity with Joey Bosa if we were to keep Joey Bosa on the defensive line from playing at Ohio State. He hasn't really lived up to expectations, but I think he could see a breakout year under Jesse Minter. Then the two other guys in free agency that I would look at would be DeMarcus Lawrence, who suffered a season-ending Liz Frank injury in Week 4 with the Dallas Cowboys this season, but he's 33 years old, so he is getting a little bit older, but in 4 weeks this season, he did have 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 4 tackles for loss, and 5 QB hits, so he's still having a lot of production. And then Dante Fowler Jr., who had a resurgence under Dan Quinn after moving over to Washington. This season, he had 10.5 sacks, so that is a lot of production, and obviously he benefited from having Dan Quinn as his head coach and calling the defensive plays, so I think he could have a similar impact on the Chargers with Jesse Minter. Now going into the draft, the Chargers, their first 4 picks are going to be pick 22 in the first round, then they have a second round pick at 55, third round at 86, and fourth round at 124. I do expect edge rusher to be addressed in one of these first 4 picks. In the first round, guys like Mike Green from Marshall, Michael Williams from Georgia, and Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M would probably be available at our number 22 spot, and possibly Jack Sawyer if they want to not really reach on him, because I think Jack Sawyer is a great talent from Ohio State. I do expect him to go in the first round, if not the early second. So those are some guys that I think they could look at in the first round if they want to go with edge rusher. And there's a lot of guys in the draft that I think could go in the second or early third round, and that would be Nick Scorton from Texas A&M, Donovan Izaraku from Boston College. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he should be a second-round pick. Landon Jackson from Arkansas, Princely Uman-Mielen from Ole Miss, JT Tuimoloau from Ohio State, who had a great year with Jack Sawyer, Kyle Kennard from South Carolina, who also had a great year this year, Jordan Birch from Oregon, Jared Ivey from Ole Miss, and Josiah Stewart from Michigan. Now, what I want the Chargers to do is re-sign Khalil Mack on a 1-year deal and just kind of keep the defensive line the same. I would restructure Joey Bosa as well. I would look into the Myles Garrett sweepstakes, and if it's the right price, then I would go for it if I'm the Chargers, but I think possibly getting younger at the defensive line is a good idea, but let me know how you